December 1st, 1948. Early in the morning, a man was found dead on Somerton Beach, near Adelaide, Australia. He was lying against a seawall. His legs were crossed and his shoes were polished. There were no visible signs of any struggle. No wallet, no identification. Every label on his clothing had been carefully removed. At first glance, it appeared to be a natural death. But in the pocket of his trousers, police later found a small scrap of paper hidden inside a sewn fob pocket. Printed on it were two words, Tamam Shud, a Persian phrase, which means, "It is finished." The man appeared to be around 40 to 45 years old and was in good physical condition. His hands showed no signs of manual labor. During the examination, doctors noted several unusual findings: an enlarged spleen, congestion in the liver, and irritation of the stomach lining. There was no water in his lungs, no obvious injury, and no detectable poison. The time of death was placed at around 2 in the morning. Later, witnesses reported seeing a man lying in the same spot the night before. One recalled him briefly raising his arm, then letting it fall. They assumed he was asleep or drunk. Police searched his pockets. Inside, they found an ordinary collection of items: a comb manufactured in the United States, chewing gum, and a packet of cigarettes containing cigarettes of a different brand. There was also a bus ticket that appeared unused and a rail ticket to Henley Beach. He never boarded the train. None of these items identified who he was, and none explained why he was there. Police initially believed that the man had deliberately concealed his identity, or that he never intended to be identified at all. The autopsy raised more questions than it answered. Several organs showed changes consistent with poisoning, yet toxicology tests revealed nothing. At the time, experts suggested that certain rare poisons could cause death without leaving a detectable trace. As a result, the coroner could not determine whether the man had been poisoned, nor whether any poison had been self-administered or administered by someone else. The official cause of death was left undetermined. In December 1948, with no identification and no resolution, the body was embalmed. That decision would later complicate future investigations. Weeks later, another discovery came to light. At Adelaide railway station, staff recovered an unclaimed suitcase from the cloakroom. Its label had been removed. Records showed it had been checked in on the morning before the man was found dead. Inside were clothes and toiletries, along with a small collection of tools: scissors with sharpened points, a cut-down table knife, an electrician's screwdriver, and a reel of waxed thread. The thread was unusual. It matched the type used to repair a pocket in the dead man's trousers. More clothing labels had been removed, though not all of them. Several items were marked with the name Keane. Police conducted searches internationally, but no missing person by that name matched the body. The suitcase suggested careful preparation, but no clear purpose. Months after the burial, police made another discovery. Hidden inside the man's trousers was a small scrap of paper, carefully sewn into a concealed pocket. The words Tamam Shud were printed, not handwritten. Library officials quickly recognized the phrase. It came from the final page of a poetry collection, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. Police issued a public appeal, searching for a copy of the book with its final page torn out. Eventually, one was found. It had been left in the back seat of an unlocked car. The torn edge matched the fragment recovered from the man's pocket. Inside the back cover of the book, detectives noticed faint pencil marks, indented letters arranged in lines without spaces or punctuation. It appeared to be a code. Military and intelligence experts attempted to decipher it, but they failed. Decades later, cryptographers revisited the markings. Some concluded the sequence was too short to be solved. Others believed it was not a cipher at all, but a form of shorthand, possibly meaningful only to the person who wrote it. The code has never been conclusively decoded. Also written inside the book was a phone number. It belonged to a nurse who lived only a few hundred meters from where the body was found. Her name was Jessica Thompson. When police contacted her, she denied knowing the man. She said she had once owned a copy of the Rubaiyat, but had given it away years earlier. When shown a plaster cast of the man's face, witnesses later said she appeared visibly shaken. She maintained that she could not identify him. By 1948, the world had entered a new and quieter conflict. World War II had ended only 3 years earlier, and the Cold War was already taking shape. Australia hosted several sensitive military and intelligence facilities, and espionage was a real concern at the time. Against that backdrop, some investigators began to suspect the man may have been involved in intelligence work. There was no proof, though, only context and coincidence. The man was buried in an unmarked grave. In the years that followed, flowers appeared at the site, left by someone who never came forward. Over time, evidence was lost. The suitcase was destroyed. Documents disappeared. The investigation gradually faded from official attention. Public interest, however, never fully died. In the early 2000s, researchers returned to the case. A plaster cast made in 1949 still existed. In 2022, genetic genealogists announced a possible identification. They proposed that the man was Carl Webb, an Australian-born electrical engineer. The DNA analysis suggested a strong match. However, the identification has not been formally confirmed by authorities. There is no documented evidence placing Webb in Adelaide at the time of the man's death. The code remains unsolved. The reason for his presence on the beach is unknown. The cause of death is still uncertain. What remains is a body, a book, a code, and a message that reads, Tamam Shud, finished, or simply unresolved.